Hey everybody, I wanted to do a short little video about keyword types and search queries. Basically sort of knowing your keyword variations or keyword theory and then using that to succeed at SEO. So let's get started. So keywords drive SEO. I think we all kind of know that, so that when someone comes to Google and they type in knee pain or best knee doctor in New York City, we know that they type in a search query. And even though there's kind of a discussion about semantic search, about like Google figuring out everything, even if you type in or you say to Google, hey Google, what are the causes of knee pain? You know, implicitly there's a keyword in that phrase, right? Knee pain. So let's kind of leave aside semantic search and let me sort of run you through some of the types of search queries that are important for SEO. Now there's a link in the description to a blog post that has all of this in more detail. So let's run through. First, let's start with what are called educational or early stage keywords. This sort of keyword starts at the early part of the funnel, such as sort of, you know, ow, my knee hurts. So I go to Google and I type in knee pain, right? I'm not really ready to buy at this point. I'm just sort of researching or learning about an issue. So even if I were going to go buy a car, for instance, I might type in like new car models or new trucks or trucks 2018 or something like that. So that search isn't really what we call transactional yet. It's just educational. I just want to learn about something. So this type of keyword has a lot of volume. There's a lot of queries for it, but it doesn't necessarily have a lot of value. It's not necessarily going to end in a transaction or in some money. So that brings us to the next type, which are transactional or sometimes called late stage or sometimes called buy keywords. So these are sort of the antithesis of the first type, right? This is not knee pain. This is best knee doctor in New York City, right? This isn't new car models, right? It's, you know, it's Toyota Tacoma's 2018 best price San Jose. So sometimes they're long tail, but they don't have to be long tail. But what they are is that they're transactional. They're somebody who's ready to buy something. So that's a kind of an antithesis to the educational pattern. So there's not as much volume usually, but there's more value. There's more buyer intent. It's closer to the sale. Okay, the next type you want to think about is what's called a branded or navigational search query. So this is where you type into Google something like Geico, right? And what you're really saying to Google is, hey Google, give me the website of Geico. It's often the company name, you know, Geico, Target, Amazon, this type of thing. I always think it's kind of sad that when you type in Amazon into Google, you don't get the historical river that's 1 billion years old, you get the retailer in Seattle, right? So it's a navigational search, right? Or branded. Navigational, not meaning navigational like I want to go and drive in my car to the Amazon, but navigational meaning, hey Google, what's the website address for Amazon.com? I guess I'm kind of stupid. I don't know it's Amazon.com type of thing, right? So that's the idea in a branded or navigational. The next type is what's called reputational. So reputational, right, and we all do this when we buy stuff, right? So, you know, before you're going to buy something, before you're going to engage with, you know, Dr. Keith Starr, you know, San Diego hair transplant, excellent person, you're going to Google Dr. Ken Starr reviews, right? Or Dr. Ken Starr hair transplant reviews. Or before you buy a Samsung TV, you're going to Google Samsung TV reviews, right? So these are reputational. You're trying to get Google to kind of tell you, hey, did anybody trash this brand online? Are the reviews good or bad? So this is a reputational search query. Obviously very important, because if you find really crappy content about that Samsung TV, for instance, you're not going to buy it. Or about that doctor, you're not going to use him or her. So those are your reputational search queries. Another kind that's sort of weird, right, is what I call implicit geographic. So an implicit geographic is when you type in pizza, right, and Google figures out, right, it snoops at your phone or your IP address and it knows, hey, you're in San Jose. So it Googles pizza San Jose, or even down to the zip code level. So sometimes searches for pizza, for hairstylist, for family law attorney, these are implicit geographics. They show the snack pack and they usually connect you to the local people near you. So people will type in, pizza near me, right? Well, that's Google's going to snoop and put in implicitly essentially your location, your zip code, your city, whatever. So those are implicit geographic search queries, right? Now here's a heads up, right? The best pizza is often not the pizza near you, but that's not how people think. That's certainly true for attorneys as well. Like, don't necessarily use the attorney that's nearest to you. But at any rate, so there's a bunch of searches that are implicit geographic. Finally, the type I want to draw your attention to are what are called micros, right? So these are searches that are really short, they're often short tail, but they are implicitly very specific. So for instance, in hair transplant, which I know something about because I have a client that does hair transplant and I desperately need one, follicular unit extraction, right? So FUE, so people will just put in FUE, that's it. And Google will figure that out. It knows that that is follicular unit extraction, and it'll pull up relevant content for that. Or the watch brands like Rolex, right? That's a brand, but it's also kind of a very specific query. So in certain industries, you'll have micros that are really specific, but they're short tail. Trump is another one, right? Or military RTOS, right? So that's a type of real-time operating system. So if you just type in military RTOS, it's short tail, it's micro, it's very, very specific. And that's another type that you want to be aware of. So there you have it, my very quick rundown of keyword search query types. And as you get into SEO or you're building your keyword list, you want to really understand like what are the types that matter for you. Of course, for most of us, it's the transactionals that we really care about. We really care about that person, not who's typing in knee pain, right? Because that just is so generic and so educational, but the person who's typing in knee surgeon or knee surgery or best knee surgeons San Jose. Those are your transactional patterns, and those are the ones we really care about. But we also care about reputational. We don't want to be trashed on our reputation online, that type of thing. And we're also very interested often in our micro. So kind of think about SEO like you would say Scrabble. There's different patterns, there's different keyword patterns, and you want to know what those are. Final heads up, of course, the materials you can get on the blog if you want to drill into the theory a little bit. The other heads up is you'll hear short tails versus long tails. I don't really like using that terminology, and here's why. Because you can have a short tail pizza that is very transactional, right? So it's a very short tail search, pizza, but it's very transactional. Or you can have a short tail like knee pain that's really an educational query. So the length, the number of words doesn't really tell you very much about the intent of the searcher. So even though you'll hear a lot of, there's even a book once about like the long tail, even though you'll hear that terminology, I don't find it very helpful conceptually. So I try to avoid it. So anywho, that is my rundown of keyword theory, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you start, your brain starts going, oh yeah, what are my transactionals as you build out your keyword list? Thank you for watching.